Well, now I feel free to release another recording that was less troublesome to me, but I withdrew it. I wasn't going to publish it. Well, I was of two minds. I wasn't. And that is the one that I've called JC, which I'm going to put next following this recording. JC is an ambiguity. If you're religious, you expect it to stand for Jesus Christ. If you're secular and of English cultural background, you might just see it as Julius Caesar. So I've taken the speech which I gave in secondary school. We did Julius Caesar, a part of it, as the annual main thing in the school, and I was Mark Antony, which was, of course, the lead part. The only parts that I was ever willing to take was to be lead. It gives you some idea of my ego, doesn't it? Terrible. Shattering, isn't it? And I was Mark Antony, and I give this speech. And it's well known. I mean, Shakespeare and friends, Romans and countrymen, lend me your ears. And I've written a parody on that. In this, I've dictated. In this next recording. And it was quite difficult to do. At times it didn't seem to quite be, I wasn't happy with it even when I was doing it. Because it's so negative, of course. It's appallingly negative, and to bring it back to some blessing to you, the audience, as opposed to the negativity of its tongue-in-cheek and scathing attack on well enough said. I'll publish it here next, after this recording. I was going to say make of it what you will, but I really do mean it to be a blessing. I must hear it again so that I can finish this recording accordingly. Hang on a minute. Yep, that's it. I've got it. It's that, again, it's an illustration of when something doesn't fit and doesn't seem right, and you think it's not of God, you thank God for it. Just as if you knew it was the blessing that He in fact intends for you. And so you see, by the grace of God, I've managed to hold with it and actually publish this next recording, because it illustrates how your praise and thanks, even for the things that present as bad, negative, they all have their place in achieving His fantastic will. And His will is not some obnoxious dominance. It's an utter integrity of reliable love and care that must have you, and I mean you singular, listening, must have you in His eternal family as a wonderful adult part of it. totally integrated, ever, ever reliable and safe and glorious, absolutely wonderful, invested with life eternal, because you are his child. And that's what he wants, and that's what he gets. Nothing can stop him bringing you to heaven. It's as simple as that. You may be mesmerized by a bad dream. You may be attacked, criticized, held in contempt, persecuted. And what does Jesus say? Jump for joy, rejoice. For so persecuted they the prophets that were before you. And by that he means, so are the most wonderful people that ever walked the earth. I mean, that's what he means. That's what he's saying. That's who you are, you singular. That's who you are. And me. And all of his children. He has no failures. My God has no failures. My God is all powerful and he's all loving. And he's our dad. And it's holding to this. That sees him as our dad. And his love brings us through to life eternal. For we come to know him thereby. And this is life eternal. John 17, to know thee, the only true God, and the way. I mean, the Jesus story personifies the way. I don't worship him, but it's a great help. We're in this world, it's not perfect. Story of Jesus is not perfect. Got all sorts of problems and conundrums and paradoxes and questions and byroads. My goodness, we've seen 2,000 years of byroads. But it is sufficient, and I'm an economist, and sufficiency means we're going to meet the needs. It meets our needs. It's not there to be worshipped. Jesus is not there to be worshipped. The story's not there to be worshipped. You know, the scripture. And certainly not the religion. Oh my goodness, don't worship that. But it is sufficient. Oh, I see. Said the blind man. And his faith saved him. Bless you. And we are blessed. Blessed to have such a wonderful story, such a legend, such a myth that brings us to know God. You, Dad. Our Dad. Love you, Dad. Thank you, Dad.